Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good day.
Good day.
All right.
Good night.
Welcome to Miracle Center for Spiritual Living, the Science Mind Center, located at 2653 South Taylor Road in the beautiful Cleveland Heights, Ohio. My name is Fran Daniels, religious science practitioner. I greet you in peace, love, and joy this beautiful day. Traditionally, we always start our service in prayer, putting God first. So I'm asking you to just go within and become quiet. Move within to that center of peace, love, perfect joy. As I realize that there is but one life, and that life is God. That life is perfect, that life is whole, that life is complete. And that life, that perfect life is my life now, your life, the life of those individuals on Zoom, the life of this whole universe, the life of the birds, the insects, the trees, the mountains, the sky. There is just but one life, and it's all God. It's all perfect. It's all peace. So as I consciously identify with this one life, with this perfect peace, this spiritual action of love, I identify with every living thing within this universe. God is. God is. So it is in this isness that I bless this morning's service. I bless each one of you. I bless this universe. And I especially bless our mouthpiece of spirit this morning in the form of Reverend June Clark, bringing us those ideas, those suggestions, those spiritual rules to follow, so that our lives will be encompassed in joy and peace and love and nothing but the good stuff. It's God. God the good. So consciously identifying with this perfect action in this morning's service, I decree that this morning's service is a spiritual experience, without question, without doubt, is in divine order. And if you're in agreement with the words that have been spoken, simply affirm with me, and so it is. So I let it be. Amen. Thank you, Gilbert. Referring to our bulletin this morning, dive into the boundless freedom and joy that love brings. Understand how living with an open heart allows you to soar to new heights, experiencing life with greater fulfillment and purpose. And our affirmation for today is, my life, all life, soars in love today. Wow. Let's repeat that. My life, all life, soars in love today. Amen.
Amen.
Wonderful. Our Science of Mind point of view this morning: love is an omnipresent force that flows through all of life, not limited to fleeting moments of passion or dramatic gestures. In Science of Mind, we understand that love expands when we engage in loving ourselves and others, tapping into the boundless stream of love that surrounds us. True love, as someone said that for me.
Tap not on.
All right, tap not high. reminds us, carries respect, and involves not only what we receive, but also what we give. It is rooted in compassion, kindness, and a willingness to share both joys and challenges. By being present and fully engaged, we transform love from an ideal into a lived reality, allowing us to soar beyond limitations and experience greater depth and fulfillment. Our minds often default to scanning for what is lacking or where love seems absent. But what if we train our minds through mantras to recognize love first? Through consistent practice, we can shift our perspective, waking up each day and affirming, love is here now. Our minds often default to scanning for what is lacking or where love seems absent. But what if we train our minds through mantras to recognize love first? Through consistent practice, we can shift our perspective, waking up each day and affirming, love is here now. Let's repeat that. Love is here now. We begin with a truthful claim this morning. And now we will have our spiritual message through song, I Got Joy. Take it away, David. Ooh, do we feel the joy this morning? Joy, unspeakable joy.
Yes.
And now to carry on that feeling and that idea of unspeakable joy, let's welcome our illustrious minister in the form of Reverend June Clark as she brings us today's message, and I'm sure it's containing some parts of unspeakable joy.
All right.
Reverend June.
Thank you, Fran. Did you hear that invocation she did this morning?
Yes.
If you were here, there's something about spiritual essence that is true. Now, when she came up here and stood next to me, for me, there was this feeling of energy. And when she started speaking the invocation, there was like this ripple going between us. And I bless you, dear friend. I bless you. That was beautiful. And you all do not get off the hook. Because that, that little bit of joy ain't gonna get it this morning. From October 4th till today, between how many visits to the hospital and 3 major surgeries or whatever, we're gonna do the joy some more. And I want you to bring that to your heart, because I know whatever was going on with me, something was going on with you. Now let's get some joy this morning, and then we'll proceed with the message, okay? So go back a little, you don't have to go back all the way, but I love that, the upbeat one. So let's get it together here. If I don't fall off this chair. Move it. Okay, let's hit it. Okay. Oh, I bless you, I bless you, I bless you. Well, this morning it says, here I come again. I'm back. I'm back. We come back. We do. We move forward as we come back. So, we're going to start this morning with the science of mind way in the back. And we're going to talk about mind and I'm going to read a little bit, talk a little bit, and those of you who, just a little commercial here, I understand there are people that have come here, and since I've been out and about a little bit at home, that are interested in choir, and that's one of the songs we used to sing. Yep. It's a song that I used to sing when I was back in Riverside, California, singing it. So if you like to sing and feel really, really good, and singing to me is praying at the same time, that's one example of how you can feel it, is to be in the choir. So folks are trying to organize a choir, so if you're interested, we had a choir director that would get happy, and he was about as big as a minute, and he'd be all over the stage, and we'd be clapping. But it is wonderful to be able to sing, and it's like praying. So we're going to start here in the bulletin here. It says, all individual minds, yours included, are merely different activities of the infinite mind. One thing going on, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. When I was in all my studies, what was always repeated was, there's only one thing going on here, and that is God expressing itself. One mind, one thought, just one. The mind of God is the law of your life. So, what does that mean if your life is crappy? I guess that means kind of, sort of, we need to look at what we're thinking, because in order for it to manifest, it has to be what we're focusing on. So this mind of God is the law of your life. How do you want your life to be? And it's those words are so easy to say, but the ownership of those words is, well, how come the doctor said, and I did, and I kept doing, and then all of a sudden I had to go to another doctor, and the doctor said, and then I kept doing, and then I had to go to another doctor, or I had money and I spent the money, and then I had to get more money, and then I didn't have money, but then I had again more money. Or how come those kinds of things keep happening to me? How come that shows up in my experience? One thing going on, God is. What we decide to judge it by, what we do, what we say, what we think, what we accept, that's ours. And am I saying, well, you just accepted, those illnesses, this, that, and the other? I can't handle that. I can't handle that. I'm the cause of anything negative that happens in my experience. I don't know if you can or not, but for me, it's always somebody else's fault. I prefer, my father used to talk about Joe Schmo. I prefer that Joe Schmo did it and not me. But it's true. I don't know if you think, I think kind of crazy sometimes. Who is this masked man? Who is this masked person that's out there creating this world for me? I don't want this world, but there it is. But if I pay attention to it and I know it's there, therefore I know what it is and I know who it is. So do I sound a little loopy? Or do you think that way sometime? Where did this stuff come from? And what is it that Fran read at the beginning? To share both joy and challenges. It's all the same thing. Joy and challenges. It's our perception of what is. It's how we look at things. Would you rather have something that, we'll just be real clear here, that is in your body and it's there for no good purpose? Well, I'll talk about what I know. When I was in 3rd grade, had a pain in my side. And that's when doctors used to come to the house. Whoops, whoops. I disclosed some age levels here. Anyway, when the doctor used to come to the house, and I had a pain in my side. And it was good that my mother recognized to call the doctor. And the pain was painful, but it was my appendix. And if I had not cried and said, Mama, I got a pain in my side, and she was wise enough to say, well, that's pretty serious, let's call the doctor, the pain would have stayed there, my appendix would have burst, and I wouldn't be here. I mean, what in all that in our lives happens to us? We judge it. Right now, I can almost see the scar from where they took my appendix out, and I can remember it. I can remember it very clearly. So what is it about this one mind that can be joyful and expressive and save our lives, yet depress us so deeply to the point where some people take their life because of what they know? I don't have any answers except to say that God is, God knows, God shows, and there's only one thing going on in this universal allness. So if you are sitting in a chair within the sound of my voice or somewhere close by, or you are on Zoom, these are not words to grasp. They're words to examine, to think about your life, to think about the good and the joy and the happiness and the oneness shows up as all those wonderful things. To think about those that you consider negative, or why is that here, or why is that person around me, or what am I doing right now? Why are you beating yourself up? It's real easy to be joyful, I find. I find happiness at the funniest things, like I slept all night and I didn't have a pain. It's very, very welcome. It's very welcome. Big deal is I had a pain, so I'm going to talk about it all day. And I'm going to think about it all day. Oh, I had this pain all night. Pain's gone. It's the mind. What do we do with what's going on within ourselves? And it's all oneness and it's all God. And the reason you are here is because in the depth of the oneness that we are, as I shared Fran's words this morning, were oneness. They were the oneness of all of us. And the words that I share, if I appear to be sharing negative about my own self, I don't mean to. I just mean to share a comparison of brief happiness, brief despair. Brief happiness, brief pain. And it's all one essence. It's all one truth. So what just popped up in my mind is Emerson's, it's this incomplete thought, is to get your bloated nothingness out of the way of the divine flow of God. That's exactly what those words mean. Get out of the way of the divine flow of God. And I'm not sure which essay that is of Emerson's, but it's quoted a lot, but it's not quoted with the ending. You hear, get your bloated nothingness out of the way. Why? So that the divine currents of God can flow through you. So if you need to stop, take a breath, light a candle, call a practitioner, go to a synagogue that's open, go to a sharam that's open, go to any spiritual site, sit out in your backyard. Like I have been sitting out in the back, but I've been looking out the window at the trees. They're so full this year. They're so green this year. And just, take a and another one down, and then bring yourself back up again. Take a breath. That's God too. Thank God we got it. That's why we're here, because we can still breathe and we can still think and we can still feel. So I'm going to finish reading this quote, this section here. This mind of God is the law of your life. Your life, your life, your life. When you speak, it speaks within you. Thus, your thought becomes the law of your life, because the law of the one mind already resides at the center of your being. That's by Ernest Holmes. Where else do we think God is? I don't know, these visuals are coming up in my mind. Do we think that we're like a dog and we have a little house out in the backyard that we go to, or that we're sent to in order to lay down and rest, or in order to wait for somebody to bring us food? No. We are the house of God. Every inch of us is the house of God. There was a young man, tragically, recently, that committed suicide. And he left a note asking that his brain be looked at, that his brain be, what's the word? That the doctors would try and see what was in his adult developed brain, because he had played little league, I'm not sure if that's the name of it, football when he was younger. What happened to my brain? Can you see in that tissue what happened in my brain that led me to do what I did in my life, and what led me to do this crime, this terror to someone else? He killed someone. What is it in my brain? What is it up here? That's where they say the brain resides. That's where they medically have proven that. What's it made of? What does it do? How many wrinkles does it have? Seems like that's what I learned in science class a long time ago, that the brain had wrinkles. What is it when, not to be graphic, but when you watch a movie on TV or a horror movie and, oh, the brain's scattered all over the wall. What is that? Is that mind? We're talking about mind here today. Is that mind? Your mind is mine, mind too? Is my mind the same as that young man that killed himself and asked that his brain be evaluated or examined or put under slides to see what it's like, what's causing him, or what caused him throughout his life to do things that he obviously did not understand, and did not understand them to the point of taking his own life. But help me here, help me in the afterlife, help me in my afterlife to help you understand what each of us are going through with this mind that we have. And it's God. It's God expressing. And it's the same God expressing that someone who has a lottery ticket and wins $1 million. Same brain he had, at least in configuration of the human body. They're ecstatic. He's pitifully, and I do say pitifully, resigned to his own solution to his process, which is to destroy himself. So when we think of mind, and we can look here in the Science of Mind book on page 612 is the glossary, and this is some of the meaning of mind. No one has ever seen, interesting, no one has ever seen mind or spirit. And here we are, here I am, talking about them being the same thing. No one has ever seen mind or spirit. The only proof we have of mind with a capital M, which means God, is that we can think. But we are perfectly justified in believing that we have a mind. We can't see it. We can't see, we can see physical tissue that is a brain, but we cannot see mind. And you're sitting here, or you're listening on Zoom, or you're listening through the Zoom, because you know enough about yourself to seek an answer to what is mind. Maybe that's not what got me up this morning, started me on my way. That's another song. We don't know the whys of it, but we can reason out and say our brain said, well, the weather's cooler, or I just gotta go to church. Again, I'm quoting your friend. You just gotta go to church on Sunday. And for whatever religion you are, if you are strong enough and interested enough and excited enough to go to your own temple or your own, sit on the grass and look at the grass grow and talk about how it grows, I don't care. If you are interested enough in your God self, in your heart and in your mind and in your spirit, you're blessed. And that's what draws you to any feeling of believing that you're going to take an hour or so out of your life to pay attention to what is in your spiritual aspect of you. Actually, there is no such thing as your mind and my mind, his mind, her mind, and God's mind. Again, it goes back around in the circle, which is the symbol of the Science of Mind. We don't have a particular symbol. Well, I have it on my neck. But there's no beginning and no end to God. There's no beginning or end to the wonderment and the glory of God. There is just mind in which we live, move, and have our being. Mind is both conscious and subconscious. Conscious mind is spirit, either in God or man. Unconscious mind is the law of conscious mind acting and is therefore subconscious or subjective. And if you're used to reading Ernest Holmes, you know he is very wordy. But if you break it down, God is all there is. And I was taught in ministerial school, you got one thing to do every Sunday. Teach God is all there is. You just find different ways to teach it, different ways to say it, different ways to think it, different ways to know it, different ways to be it. And that's what you all do every single time you breathe, every single time you think. And the number of people in this room and the number of people on Zoom, either in sight or on sound, if we threw a color, if we threw a colored piece of cloth on this floor or waved it in front of everybody, do you know that we could get a different opinion about the color of that cloth from each and every one of us? I don't care if it's black, I don't care if it's white, if it's magenta, if it's pink, if it's purple. We're going to find a depth within our own thinking and our own unique way to identify that cloth. And isn't that wonderful? Yes. Who wants everybody to think the same way? As nutty as I am sometimes, you don't want to think the way I think. I mean, it's just fun. It's just life. It's just the joy of being. So I didn't mean to get off on that one subject so long, but I'm gonna move on here. And the reading that I read, the paragraph I read, is from Your Invisible Power, page 16.3. And Reverend Leora referenced last week about the old books we have, and that's one of them. I don't know if it's still in print or not. It's a little thin book by Ernest Holmes. And so I'm going to move into the consciousness, which is the center of our focus. And I just want to honor, because it happened as I was doing some research here. On page 536, and this says 8/28/2015. So this is my old raggedy book, and I mark in it. I don't mark in my good leather-bound book, but this is my old book, and on that particular date, this is what I read. We talk about mind, and this young woman's spirit came to me, and her name was Naoko. And I know some of you know Naoko. She was our pianist when we had our church over on Buckeye, and she was from Japan, and her family came over here to this city when we had her memorial service. And this came up for me, and it reminded me of how close we are in spirit, and that this was read on 8/26/2015 for Nyoko, and I'm going to read it for us today. And it reminds me of our mind, the house of love. I dwell in the house of love. My dwelling place is filled with peace and eternal calm. Love attends me in my home of the soul, and joy awaits upon me in the sacred place of the Most High. My house is built for me by the hand of love and I shall never leave this home of the Spirit, for it is always present. I shall abide in this home forevermore. My house is a house of love. And that's what we've been talking about this month. We've been talking about love. And here this sweet, beautiful lady, she was a beautiful pianist. She was a beautiful individual. She had children, and made her transition with us here, not here in this building, but our other building. And that 2015, what's that, 10 years ago exactly? So we carry our house with us. We are our house. And we move forward through our house, with our house, no matter what it looks like, no matter what it seems to be at times. It is God, always God expressing. So this last paragraph here, in religious science, consciousness is our central focus. Our consciousness, again, something we don't see. Where's your consciousness at? Don't ever, please, don't ever allow someone to say to you, well, where's your consciousness? Please ignore it, which is the best thing to do. If somebody, just for example, you're in church, you know, we have our little groups, you're in church, and somebody's sneezing and carrying their tissues and has the flu or whatever. Well, where's your consciousness? You've got the flu. You know, don't do that. Don't do that to anyone else. Don't do it to yourself. Certainly, you have no right to speak to anyone else about what they think, say, or do. And you certainly need to be more aware. See, I'm being critical, which is not very nice. But be kind to yourself. This month is about love. Love yourself. Go buy 10 boxes of tissues if you need them. Go buy 30 bottles of spray if you need them. So what? It's you. You're taking care of your business. Don't allow anyone to bully you about your consciousness. Just because you can't see it, it is not a punching bag. In religious science, consciousness is our central focus. We forget those of us sometimes use of common words aren't always understood by ourselves and those around us. Those not used to our meaning of the word. For example, spirit. There's like the word spirit. What do you think when you hear spirit? If you've never been to this church before, there was a time I had never been to a Science of Mind church. And when I walked in, I went. You've seen my sister on Zoom. She was co-minister with the two of us were here as ministers for about 5-6 years. So some of you know her and some of you don't know her personally. But there were, why did I go off on that track? There were the two of us, and some people would come up to me and talk about, well, you know, I talked to Reverend Leora about did she tell you about what I talked to her about? No, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that in religious science. But what I'm trying to get to is spirit, the word spirit. She may use the word spirit in speaking. I may use the word spirit in speaking. You may use the word spirit in speaking or read it. And I am a really deep fan of scary stuff. You know, like the spirits over there are awake this morning. You know, that's an entirely different meaning than when we say spirit. And when I'm getting back to the point. I went to the Science of Mind church because she had changed so much. We're, what do they call those twins? Baker's twins or something. We're a year apart. And we're like, what is it?
Irish twins.
Irish twins. Because we're a year apart, a couple months between. And what we think that what we think each other thinks, and other people think because we look alike that we obviously think the same way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the word spirit, when she uses it in the context of a talk, is basically about the same way I'm talking about spirit, because we're both inclined to speak religious science speak. When I went to that church for the first time to see why she had become the person that she became, which was very different, but on the plus side of life, I wanted to see what was changing her. And I went to that church, and I sat in the last row, and it was a female minister with a white robe and red hair, and I had never seen a female minister before. All I'd seen was priests, you know, in the black and the white, you know, and the nuns in the black and the white and all that. And I cried and snotted all the way through the service. I'm being very clear. The next day, on Monday, I went up and signed up for Science of Mind class. That's how effective the words spoken about spirit were to me that day. I did not have to understand them, but again, it was something that went in me, through me, and moved me to the point that it changed my life. I never stopped taking classes. I would be taking a class now if I wasn't as busy as I am, catching up with who I am and what I am. So sometime when we speak and you don't know exactly what that feels like or means like, just kind of say, can we talk about that for a minute? Consciousness. Reverend June, you know, what are we talking about here? I'm interested. I'm feeling something. We had joy on there. J-O-Y. And Jerry began to clap. And Our Lady here, she stood up. She started to clap. Now, what was that? And then we played it again, and Laverne stood up, and several people stood up, and they were clapping. Some people didn't clap. Some people felt it. Some people didn't feel it. And it's a word, J-O-Y. And it also is used at Christmas time, or whatever, or somebody's name. So I don't want to belabor the point, but I want us to understand, if you get the magazine, if you get this book, if you have the Bible, what's fun is to take a word from the Bible, and we have a concordance at the back of this book, just a brief, actually it's just a brief definition of some words. But if you want to know more, we have books in the bookstore. We have Science of Mind books in the bookstore now. We've gotten a few if you want to buy one and follow along, because I'm going to be using the textbook. I call it the textbook, or we call it the textbook. We're going to be using it a lot. Follow along. Pick out a word. Tell me what that word is, And we'll talk about it on Sunday. And Gilbert, you have the honor of sharing your word today. Gilbert and I were sitting there in the social hall 2 weeks ago or so when I was here. And we got to talking about race, the word race. And both of us had an interesting experience of doing exactly what I'm talking about, not understanding words as they are used in religious science. I can see in Reverend Ruth Wilkerson's class, she was a highly respected minister. She taught, what did we used to call it? Homiletics. She taught homiletics to almost all the big time ministers as they went through school. And that is speech making, the way we do our talks. And we were talking something about, I know it had to do with the black race. I know it had to do with black people. And she said, that's the race conscious, an example of the race consciousness. And I just went all wiggly headed and neck turning and eyes rolling up. And this is one of the very first classes I had. And I raised my hand and I said, you're always bringing everything back around to race. I did not have a clue as to what she was talking about, race consciousness, as it tied to religious science. So it's that simple, and Gilbert shared his experience of not understanding a word. And what race consciousness is exactly what we're swimming in today. We're swimming in the swamp. Excuse the political references. We're swimming in the swamp of race consciousness. Drain it. Drain the swamp. We're better than that. We know how to use our minds. We know how to use our consciousness, and we can focus on what it is in the world that we want individually, which means it's out there universally. So drain the swamp. Think about race and my wiggling my neck and all that kind of stuff about not understanding something. And once I raised my hand and put it out there, I was given the understanding very gently, very accurately, according to religious science, race consciousness means this. So I'm telling you, let's help the country by draining the swamp. I did not need to talk so long. But I have on the chairs what we believe. And I'm going to save this for another week. The Declaration of Principles. This is our, what do you call it, our Declaration of Independence. We're not going to change it. We're not going to try and live it in a different way. That too is a political pun, but I'll let that pass. So what we're going to do now is hear a song. It's about ourselves, and then we're going to go into benediction. And I do bless you, and I appreciate you so very much. And the prayers are what's getting me here and keeping me going. So let's go into this song. It's another song that has been around through the circuit of Science of Mind for years and years, and it was written by, what's it? Hayes. What's her name that wrote the song? Say it again. Louise Hayes. Louise Hayes. She wrote this at the beginning of the AIDS epidemic, and in positivity to those people who were necessary. At that time, it was only gay. I mean, that's what they talk about, gay, but there's a lot of differences in the way people look at themselves. So this is a song that she wrote that helped a lot of people get through the AIDS epidemic. So if you would play that for us. Thank you for your contributions, and Jerry will bless the funds that we have received this morning. If you would just center yourself and just imagine for yourself, blessing yourself first. For the first step of treatment is blessing God, and knowing that within that blessing we extend it out from our hearts to family members, to loved ones, to people we don't know, to a lady and 8 children in a very close range of age walking behind her yesterday that I saw. I was at the store to buy a hot dog, and these children and this lady got ahead of me because I could not speak to them because they were too far away. But I wanted to buy each one of those little people a hot dog at that moment. And my heart goes out and I speak my word in love and truth, knowing that they are safe. And there are those that we see amongst us who we feel, we don't think, we feel need prayer. And as we look around this room, we each need prayer in individualized ways. I bless each of us here in the sanctuary, those who we carry in our hearts, those of you on Zoom, and those you carry in your hearts. There's a lot for us to do. Our political spheres of influence, who are supposed to be the leaders of our countries, supposed to know our hearts, supposed to know what is good for us to do and to be. This is a special time. Don't forget to drain the swamp of the negativity and replace it with the love and the peace and the harmony of who we are. And knowing this, I simply release this time together. It has been such a blessed time. And I turn the microphone over to Fran to bring the benediction. And I bless you and I thank you for being here. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Let's show Reverend June some love. Yes. I'm sure we all need to get that reminder. Okay, thank you. Do we have any visitors in the audience today? Okay, well, welcome each one of you. We are family, and so it is. And this is we have new visitor forms to fill out. So if you see someone that's been here for the first time, just ask them to fill this out so we can bless it and put it among our records.
This is about choir.
And also, we are going to restart our wonderful choir. We had a wonderful time with our choir. Choir rehearsal was great. I don't have a voice like Aretha Franklin, but I went in and tried to do what I could. I might have sounded like Larry, Curly, and Moe, but I tried. So I'm inviting you, if you love to sing, love to be a part of our choir, please join us and let Jerry Lawson know. Then they'll decide when the oh no, I have a note. First choir rehearsal is Thursday, August 21st at 5:00 p.m. So just be here. All right, so come and lift your voice and praise and thanksgiving to the Lord.
And the last one is our cookbooks. We still have
Oh yes, we still have a few cookbooks left. So you can see Arnie, or go to the bookstore and pick them up. That was one of our fundraisers, and we did a great time selling them. Also, we want to welcome Evelyn Johnson, as she has applied for membership of our church, our Miracle Church for Spiritual Living. Is Evelyn here this morning? Well, anyway, we'll find out who she is. We welcome her anyway. So at this time, at this time, I ask you to just recenter yourselves and just become still and just feel the presence of the Lord. The Spirit has moved through us in a very special way through this service, in a very special way through our ministers, everyone that participates. It's all God. So we give thanks for this divine right action, and we take this action with us this week, knowing that we are divinely guarded, guided, and protected. That nothing but the good, nothing but the perfection, and nothing but love comes to us, through us, and surrounds us. All is love. And if you're in agreement with me, simply affirm with me. And so it is. So we let it be. Amen. Amen. All right, so I invite you, this concludes our service. I invite you to circle up as we sing our peace song, which is so very important to put those vibes out into the universe. Thank you for being here this morning.